Well, I spent some more time with the Fender Tone Master Pro, and I think it sounds better than it ever has, and I'll show you how I did it. And I'm going to tell you what amps to look out for this year. And when is Thomas going to finally release the Ampex? I think Ted Knight said it best.
Well, we're waiting.
All that and more in today's Riffs and Responses. Cue the flames. Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Riffs and Responses. This is Riffs and Responses number 23, and I'm going to try to keep this at a half-hour maximum. That last one went pretty long, but I had a lot to cover. It is what it is. So let's get started with what I've done with the Fender Tone Master Pro. Again, I want to thank Keith Martin for getting this for me. I really appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun with this thing. It's a great looking product, and I can tell you I got it to sound a lot better, and I'll show you what I did. So this is the current sound that I'm getting out of it right now, and then we'll go over to the computer and I'll show you everything I did. It just sounds a lot better, you know, it sounds a lot more realistic now. So I'm going to head over to the computer now and show you what I did, you know, to get this sound. And it's pretty simple. And if you have, you know, a Tone Master, go ahead and follow along with me and do what I did. All right, here we are at the computer with the desktop editor. So again, this is what it sounds like. Just sounds a lot more realistic and lively. So I actually used one of my impulse responses. It's in my Tone Wars Essential IR pack. It's available on my website. And man, I'm just telling you, these just came out so good. So here's the high cut. Here's the low cut. That's basically what I did with them. And the impulse response I'm using is right here, the QC Mesa 212 Royer 121 57 blend. And then I went in here and just adjusted the EQ. I did a low cut, and I brought the 8K down just a hair. So just a hair, and it really just sounds a lot better now. Let me show you the difference. So I saved the patch I was using previously right here. So this is with their cab and their mic and stuff, you know, right here. So that's basically how I have that set up. And let's do a comparison. So we'll start with mine and switch to their cab. Okay, so you can see the difference now. You're probably thinking like, oh, the volume's lower. So did you lower the volume on the amp? No, here's the volume on my preset with my IR. And here is the volume on the preset with their IR, or their cab. So it's the same volume. So what it is their cabs are just really dark, you know. And I don't even have a high cut on there. The high cut, it's just, there's no high cut, you know, and they're just really dark, so they don't stand out in the mix very well. And I had to really crank the volume on this thing to get it to stand out in the mix. It sounds decent, but I was like, man, I just wonder if my IRs would be better. And man, they just are. You know, I know I'm biased. It's my IRs, blah, blah, blah. But I just like how they sound better. Now, you can adjust the high cut if you want even more. So let's just go ahead and find the sweet spot in case I need to do any fine tuning here. Yeah, actually, I think the 6K is good. Let's go ahead and save that. I like that. Now I got to change the other ones. I got to change all my presets now to 6K. It'll only take a second, but I mean, these IRs sound exactly like my cabs and how I have them mic'd. I'm very familiar with these. You do have to do some high and low cuts on them, but it's not a big deal. It's easy, you know. And we'll get into some more talk about this later on in this episode. But for now, I'm just going to do these cuts really quick. And this is how I cut them down in the Helix too. I forgot. I should have just went to 6K because that's what works in the Helix. So let's go back here and compare them again. Yeah, that sounds way better. So I dialed these in really quick before I started shooting this episode. And as I was listening, I'm like, man, I could probably take that top end down a little bit more. So thanks for indulging me for that. But I think they sound pretty much perfect now. So let's go ahead and hear how this sounds in a full mix. Yeah, that sounds a lot better in a mix, and I used to have the volume all the way up on this unit just to get it to stand out in the mix and keep up with my backing tracks. And now the master volume's at 79% as opposed to 100%. So that says something right there. So these IRs definitely helped this unit out quite a bit. I think that Fender made a great product. I think there's a lot of promise here, but there's some stuff they got to address. I mean, the cabs are too dark. The mic positions are off, you know, in the unit compared to reality. And so are the effects levels. I mean, you got to turn the effects, you know, way down to actually equal what the real pedals do that they're emulating. I mean, there's some things they got to fix, but I really hope they do that. They're a company that has deep pockets, and I mean, this unit is gorgeous. I mean, I love the display and how easy it is to use, and it's built well. and it does sound good. It's just they need to add those fine-tuning details to the unit in an update, and I think this thing's going to be amazing. And I know I say this every time, but I'm going to say it again. They better make this thing a profiler, because if they do, this thing's going to be even better. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment there, but yeah, I think this sounds really freaking good, and I'll do one more riff on it before we move on. Yeah, yep, sounds freaking good. And like I said, this is a quick dial-in for this video. I'll fine-tune it some more later, but I think I'm off to a good start with it. All right, so in this next segment, I want to talk about amplifiers that you want to be on the lookout for in 2024. I saw a lot of stuff at NAMM that I thought was really cool, and I didn't mention all of them in my other videos because honestly I forgot. There was so many that I forgot. So I just want to mention them here in this video. So the Zuta, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's that blue one, looks like a rack mount unit. I saw some videos on that, and I heard from some of my friends that it was actually really cool. So that one looks like something that you should look out for. So yeah, I really want to check one of those out if I get a chance. I mean, it looks to me like it can get anywhere from ultra clean to like 80s kind of stuff, and a little bit beyond that, all the way up to brutal, freaking ridiculous metal. So yeah, I'd love to check that amplifier out, or it was the blue one, whatever the hell that one was, I don't know. But I'd like to check that one out. If they make a bunch of others, I wouldn't mind checking those out as well. And of course, the Leichlerm Prometheus, I hope I pronounced that right. That one looks awesome. I'm going to be on the lookout for that this year. I mean, for $2,800, you get a lot. You know, you get a lot of features and great, you know, tone sculpting options. So I think that's going to be cool. And I will be checking that out on the channel. So I got to get a hold of Daniel and make that happen. And then the next one is the Synergy Syn 20 IR. It's a 20-watt amplifier that you can put the modules in, and it's got an impulse response loader in it. You can put in whatever impulse responses you want, just go direct with it, or you can hook it up to a cab. That looks cool. And then Valhalla amps. I saw some videos on those, and those look really cool. I really want to check one of those out as well. There were some guys playing through it saying it was really tight and aggressive, so that's right up my alley. So yeah, I think those four are something to watch out for. And I know Jordan from Highwind came out with a new amplifier this year as well. I forget the name of it, I'm sorry, but that's something I wouldn't mind checking out as well. So if I missed anything, let me know what I missed, and I'll take a look at that as well. All right, so now let's get on with the comments. Boy, this is going a lot quicker than I thought. So the first comment is from my Line 6 Helix Ultimate Brutal preset video that I just did the other day. And this is from David Joel 111. He says, Line 6 redeemed themselves with the Helix. I remember buying the HD Pro, and they abandoned that unit really quick. Barely any updates or new sounds. I didn't buy a Line 6 product until a year ago because I was afraid they wouldn't support the unit like they did with the HD line, but they proved me wrong. Now, thanks for commenting, dude, and you're right. I mean, Line 6 has done such a great job with the Helix. They've done a ton of awesome updates with that unit, and there's so many great features that they added in each update, some really good amp models. And honestly, in my opinion, the amp models get better and better every time they do an update. It's like the process that they're doing regarding modeling the amplifiers is getting better as well, and it's evolving. So if you compare the newer amps to the older ones, I mean, the new ones just blow them away. I mean, it's not even a contest. The feel and the sound is so much better. And, you know, I think that the Line 6 Helix does have some life left in it. I mean, we can say it's 9 years old all day long, but the updates keep it young. I guess it gets a facelift with every update, so it's kind of nice, you know. I was completely blown away the other day when I, you know, put my IRs in there and made that new preset. I could not believe how good it sounded and how good the feel was on it as well. So, I mean, the effects in the Helix are great. I mean, what's it missing? Nothing. I mean, there's tons of great effects in it. So I think the next unit should be coming out hopefully in the next few years, and I just hope they add profiling to it and maybe a touch screen and whatnot. But as far as the Helix is concerned right now, I would easily go on stage with the preset that I made the other day anyways, and I'd be completely happy with everything. All right, while we're on the topic of the Line 6 Helix, this next comment is from Jacob Minaj, I think, 7088. He says, I'm guilty at getting lost into the world of new. Maybe I need to revisit Line 6. I originally had the Pod Go. While I got some good tones, there was always this underlying fizz in the top end, and I couldn't get rid of it. Changing settings, filters, IR from multiple companies, just couldn't get rid of that noise, which led me to eventually selling the unit. Well, I totally understand where you're coming from. No offense to Line 6, but I don't like the stock cabs at all. They sound really weird to me. Even the newer ones just sound kind of strange. And, you know, and I'm probably going to get some heat from this from some of the IR companies out there, but man, 99% of the IRs that are on the market are, in my opinion, are not good. They're so overly processed and hollow. They feel like shit. They're brittle sounding, and there's so much EQ and nip tuck and processing done on those microphones that are associated with making those IRs. It's not even funny. And they're all doing this mix ready thing, which is complete and utter freaking bullshit. It's trash. For whose mix? How do you know what this IR needs to sound like in everyone's mix? You're not in the freaking room. You don't even know what instruments the guitar track is being mixed with, and you know, and vocals, and it just sounds so stupid. You know, I hate when people do that. Mix ready. There's no such thing as mix ready. There's no such thing as mix ready. Okay? It's a scam. It's bullshit. Okay? Because in order for something to be mix ready, they have to know exactly what instruments that is being mixed with and what those sounds and EQs and, you know, all that stuff is going to be on all those instruments. The bass guitar, the keyboards, the drums, all of the drums, not just one of them, all of them. And the vocals and, you know, the other guitar player. And there's just so many elements there. And it's hard to know what, you know, to cut and nudge and whatever on a guitar sound so it sits in, you know, a mix properly until you're in final mix. That's when all that stuff is nailed down. So don't buy mix ready anything. It's all trash. It's just a gimmick. And I know studio engineers, and I've talked to them about that, and they're like, just give me raw tones. Let me do all that stuff at the end before we do a final mix. I don't want you making those decisions for me because you don't know what I'm doing in here. I do. I'm the one in the room sitting at the console, not you. So don't bring me mix ready garbage. You know, that's like going to Gordon Ramsay and saying, hey, I brought this pre-seasoned food. Can you just heat it up for me? He'd have his foot so far up your ass, you'd be tasting the last thing he stepped in. So don't do that. So, and the thing is, too, is like a lot of these IRs, they're too bright or they're too harsh or whatever because they're trying to cut through a mix. It's trash. So go with something that is not overly processed, and just do your own high cuts and low cuts yourself, and you'll find the sweet spot. It only takes you a minute, you know, just like I did earlier in this video. It just takes a minute and you're set, you know, and you can set everything the way you want it for your pickups and your taste and your band and whatever else your situation is. So if I were you, give Line 6 another try, get some good impulse responses, and dial them in accordingly, and I think you're going to find out that you like it more than you remembered. All right, this next comment is from my last Riffs and Responses video. This is from Sonic Vent, and he says, I wish that I would have caught your Headrush review before today. I bought a Headrush core and have been attempting to capture 1 amp for hours. What a waste of time. Luckily, I have a ToneX to use in the effects loop. I was hoping to use the core as an all-in-one solution, but that isn't going to happen. The ToneX kills this thing for making correct captures. The Headrush sounds like a toy. Well, thanks for commenting, and I'm sorry that you're going through that with that unit. And that's really why I do what I do on my channel. I mean, I'm kind of like a consumer advocate as well as a gear reviewer and gear demo guy. Because if there's something out there that I don't think is good, I'll tell you, like, what I've struggled with regarding that unit, and then you can make up the best decision that works for you regarding if you want to get that unit or not. And I honestly, there's nothing about the Headrush that makes me want to recommend it to anyone at all under any circumstances. There's way better gear out there for even less money. I mean, go get the KEMPER player. You know, I mean, it's just over half the price. What is it, $700 or something like that? And I guarantee it's going to sound better. So, I mean, it's just, there's products out there that are just so much better than that. And yeah, I struggled with it too. And I know what I'm doing. I make killer profiles for ToneX, Quad CORTEX, for KEMPER. I make great presets for the Line 6 Helix and their other products. I know what I'm doing, you know, so if I can't make that thing work, then it's a piece of shit. It's that simple, you know, and I'm not going to pull any punches with that. I mean, that thing needs to go back to the drawing board, and they need to do some major overhauls with that thing before I would recommend it. But I hope you find something that works better for you. I mean, if you're looking for an all-in-one unit, I would recommend the Quad CORTEX. I mean, that thing profiles perfectly every time, and it's got great effects. So if you're looking for something like that, then get that. But the ToneX is also a great option, especially if you already have effects. Just use that. I mean, it's a great unit as well, and you save a bunch of money. So mark my words, guys, I never recommend something that I don't believe in. I will tell you not to get it if I think there's major issues with it. That's just not what I do here, man. I'm not here to shove gear down everyone's throats. I'm just here to demo it and tell you what I think and be honest about it. All right, so this next comment is from Georgie WTF, and this is from my video that I did about how amps are fighting back. And he said, the problem isn't really about technology and the amps. I was a salesman at Guitar Center for a couple of years, and all the kids wanted either a real tube Marshall or Fender Reverb Deluxe. Everyone has YouTube, and everyone knows how amazing they sound. The real issue is cost. With companies like UA and TC Electronic releasing pedals that sound almost as good as the recorded versions of these awesome but super expensive amps at just a fraction of the price, why would you just get one or even two of those? Prices for everything and these amps are just way too expensive. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, man. I mean, amps have definitely gone way up in price, and everything is. I mean, shit, I went grocery shopping today, and every time I go, I'm like, good Lord, I got to take out a freaking second mortgage just to get damn groceries now. I mean, it sucks. So I'm hoping that that levels out sometime in the future, but for right now, we just got to kind of grin and bear it. So I understand why people are holding on to their money, and some people are like, you know what, I'll just get an inexpensive digital platform like a ToneX or something like that, and just save money, you know. And I get it. You got to do what you got to do. And I wonder if, and you guys tell me in the comments, I wonder if amps are going to eventually price themselves out of the market. I'm a business owner, and I got to keep my prices at a certain level. Otherwise, no one's going to hire me to do the work for them. And I price myself out of the market. So hopefully amplifier companies are smart enough not to do that to themselves. But we'll see what happens in the future, because prices are definitely shooting up, and it's pissing a lot of people off. I don't know if all of it is necessary or if some of it is, and you know, they're just using that excuse of like, well, everything costs more now, so there's a little bit of extra profit in there for them as well. I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But man, some of these companies are really jacking up their prices, and it's looking a little suspicious to me sometimes. But I'm not them, so I don't know, you know, what's going on with them. But I hope that it's all on the up and up. So hopefully they'll come down soon. All right, these next two comments are about the Blue Guitar Ampex, and this first one is from Stereo Stupid. He says, I'm telling you, the Ampex is going to change the game for those who realize how amazing Thomas Blug is. I believe you. I believe you. Thomas Blug is an amazing amp builder, and he's a good dude, so I can't wait to see what happens with that. Now this next comment is on the same topic. Benjamin Jarrod, 1167. He says, personally, I've been waiting for the Ampex from Blue Guitar for a few years now. As much as I understand and respect big time Thomas' perfectionism, I really do hope the Ampex will be ready this year, because I still think that will be a game changer in terms of pedal format amps. The Iridium I have sounds already so damn good live in a real cab. I cannot wait for the Ampex with all of its bells and whistles. Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. And I think Thomas is a great guy. I met him. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. Really, really good, sincere person. And You know, he's one of those guys that doesn't want to release something until it's right. And I like that about him. You know, there's a lot of companies that, you know, especially in the digital realm, that they just throw so much shit against the walls and hope it sticks. And it's pretty disgusting. I mean, they're just releasing products, and it's like a you know, restaurant serving half-cooked food and just hoping you don't get sick when you eat it, you know. I really think that Thomas is doing the right thing by waiting and making sure that everything's right. I think that it's possible that when he announced it, he probably thought it would be done sooner than it actually was. I mean, COVID slowed things down. I know that for a fact. And it probably just, you know, slowed down things regarding getting parts and, you know, stuff like that. And you know, sometimes things just evolve and it just turns into a bigger project because, well, I didn't know we can add this to it. And as it goes, you know, he's just learning more stuff about how much capacity this thing has for different effects and different amp models and stuff like that. And it probably just kind of grew bigger than he thought it would, but he's also inspired by all the growth that it's having and all the potential that it has. And like I said, he doesn't want to release it until it's done. And he said that to me when I messaged him before NAMM. I said, when's it going to be released? And he said, I'm still tweaking. And so basically, what I can tell you from what I know regarding when it's going to be released is it looks like it's going to be next year in NAMM. So next January is kind of the rumor I've heard through other people, through interviews and people that I know have talked to him. He's looking at next year. And I know that it's frustrating for some people, you know, like, man, when's it going to come? But I'll tell you what, you can pick one of two frustrations with this. You can pick the frustration associated with him releasing it too early, and there's all these bugs and all these problems, and it doesn't do this and it doesn't do that, and you got to send it in, or I don't know how he's going to do updates with it. I think you could probably download them, but whatever, it doesn't have what you want it to have. So that's frustrating. Or you could have the frustrating of, well, it's not out yet, but when it does come out, it's going to be right. I'd rather have that kind of frustration, because when it does finally come out, it's going to be amazing. And there won't be people bitching about it. There'll be people celebrating it. And I'm looking forward to it big time. And I trust Thomas that it's not going to be released until it's right. He's a very picky guy, and he's a very good guy, and he's got a lot of integrity, and he's good at what he does. So I'm sure it'll be good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But there is a threshold with people too. There's people waiting for it, and you know, I hope it doesn't take much longer, because I know there's probably people out there going, dude, when is this damn thing going to be released? But we're all waiting, but I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. All right, so this next comment is also on my Amps Are Fighting Back video, and this is from Klauth Yixon. Some of these names I can't pronounce right, so I apologize. He said, I've played drums in bands my whole life, so yes, I have a strong opinion on this. Nothing feels like a 100-watt head and a 4x12 or 2 in a jam room or on stage. That is what makes metal metal. This new degeneration of better technology is great for YouTubers who play music alone. I understand where you're coming from. Like, if you're playing drums, you want to feel that rumble of the amplifiers and stuff like that in a jam room or on stage. I totally get that, you know, but the thing is not every band is able to carry heavy amps around with them on tour, depending on, you know, how much money they want to spend on extra space in a van or a trailer or whatever, you know, to haul those around, and then you got the risk of, you know, things going wrong with them. And these days, a lot of bands, like my old band, we used in-ears. I mean, so having a cab on stage didn't matter. I mean, we just use in-ears anyway, so. And a lot of stages are kind of used to having what they call silent stages now. All you can hear is the acoustic drums on the stage, and everything else is plugged in direct. And it gives the sound guy full control over his venue, especially if it's a smaller venue. He's not fighting with the stage volume. So sound guys are starting to like that now, as opposed to before. They, you know, when you brought digital platforms on stage, they'd be like, what do you want me to do with this thing? You know, so if you go in-ears, you don't need an amp on the stage. You just don't. But I get why people like certain things over others. You know, I totally understand that. But once you get used to the digital stuff, I think you would really like it. But it just comes down to what you like. I know a lot of people that are kind of that old school mentality, but after they toured for a while, they started changing their mind about a lot of that old school stuff because they realized, like, yeah, old school is great, but man, it's a lot of work maintaining that kind of rig, you know, when you're on stage and you're touring all over the place, especially overseas and stuff. So a lot of people switched over to digital stuff and got spoiled by that because they found out how easy it was. But I totally understand where you're coming from. Having that roar of an amplifier on stage is amazing. It's fun. It adds some extra energy to the show, especially if you're not using in-ears. I totally get that. But I don't know, man. I mean, times are changing, venues are changing, and I like my hearing, you know. So having loud amps around me all the time isn't really fun for me anymore. I would rather have stuff at a decent volume that's not going to hurt my hearing. There's plenty of guitar players from the 80s that have crappy hearing now. Warren DeMartini from Rat, I mean, he hates even being on stage anymore because his hearing is just shot from all that stuff. So if I was to go on tour right now, I would take a digital platform with me and be perfectly fine with it because it's a lot easier, a lot lighter, takes up a lot less space, and in my opinion sounds just as good as a real amp on stage because it's all getting mic'd and pumped through a PA anyways. But I appreciate your comment though. Thank you very much for watching the video. All right, so album of the week this week is Dream Theater's Images and Words. I bet you a lot of you people were probably wondering, like, when's he gonna start talking about Dream Theater? Because everybody knows I'm a huge Dream Theater fanatic. That was the album that really got me into like the heavier prog stuff. Until then it was like Rush and, you know, bands like that, which I still freaking love Rush. But Dream Theater was a whole new thing for me. I still remember the first time I heard Pull Me Under. I was having a protein shake at the bar at the gym I was working out at. And I'm just sitting there talking to the smoothie girl, you know, and all of a sudden the song comes on and I'm just like, what the hell? And she just faded away and I just wanted to listen to the radio. And I was like, who in the hell are these guys? I mean, it's this long song, crazy shredding solos and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I had to go buy the tape. I'm dating myself now. I had to go buy the tape right away. But every song on that album is so eclectic. I mean, amazing. Under a Glass Moon, I mean, that guitar solo was just, are you kidding me? It's just ridiculous. And I mean, Pull Me Under is a great song, but I mean, the rest of the album, in my opinion, is just, it's even better. Like, there's just so many great songs on that album. I mean, Another Day, Take the Time, Surrounded, Metropolis Part 1, Under Glass Mood, of course, Learning to Live, Wait for Sleep. I mean, the whole thing. Every single track is just iconic. It's just amazing. I like the production on the album as well. I think the production's really good. I know Portnoy hated the snare sound on it because it was like that processed snare sound back then. It was like a sample, but I don't care. I think it all sounds really good to me. So if you really want to get into a more, I guess, listenable version of Dream Theater, like if you're new to prog and you don't like some of the crazy changes and stuff, I think that album has a nice, slightly, just little bit of a pop polish in it in some areas that just make it a little more catchy and stuff like that. That, you know, it would probably draw you in a little bit more and then get you hooked on their stuff. And then, you know, just like wine, your tastes change as you drink more of it, and then you would appreciate some of their other albums a little bit more. So I think it's a great introduction to Dream Theater. I really do. Even to this day, I still recommend that album to people because, like I said, great production, love the songs, all of them are good. The guitar solos are amazing, the arrangements are amazing, instrumental sections are amazing, and I think it's a great gateway into the Dream Theater world. So I highly recommend it. And if you haven't listened to it in a while, maybe you should fire it up and listen to it. It still stands up to this day and sounds amazing. And that is one of the albums that really shaped me as a guitar player. A lot of his riffs and his solos and just, you know, concepts that he did in there, I stole a lot of that stuff and made it my own. In other words, I dumbed it down for my dumbass, you know, because I can't play nearly as good as him. But I stole a few things and repolished them and made them made them work for me. So either way, I'm grateful for the stuff that I got from that album. And every time I listen to it, I learned something new. Well, guys, that about does it for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And to everyone that has been purchasing my preset and profile packs for Quad Cortex, ToneX, and KEMPER, and Line 6 Helix, I really appreciate that very much. I have more stuff coming up for you guys very soon on all of those platforms. I can't wait to get started on those. So again, thank you very much. And to all my Patreon supporters and subscribers, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Well, I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.